Welcome to Soundscape, where we uncover the stories behind the songs that didn't just top the charts, but fundamentally changed the world of music. Today, our journey takes us back to the mid-1950s. It was a time when popular music was often polite, predictable, and very carefully controlled. But then, a young man from Tupelo, Mississippi, named Elvis Presley, stepped onto a stage, grabbed a microphone, and nothing ever sounded or felt the same again. This is the story of Hound Dog. Before Elvis ignited the culture, American pop music followed a very strict set of unwritten rules. Think smooth vocals, gentle orchestrations, and lyrics that wouldn't make your grandmother blush. Now, rock and roll did exist, but it was simmering just beneath the surface. It lived primarily in black communities, on rhythm and blues records that were rarely, if ever, played on mainstream radio stations. Music, for the most part, was something you listened to politely. It wasn't something you felt deep in your bones. It certainly wasn't something to be feared by the establishment. Then, Elvis came along. He was a musical alchemist, blending the raw emotion of the blues, the spiritual fervor of gospel, the storytelling of country, and the driving beat of R&B. He created something new, something raw, loud, and to many, something genuinely dangerous. And the song that became the spark for this cultural explosion was Hound Dog. Now it's crucial to know that Hound Dog wasn't originally an Elvis song. It was first recorded in 1952 by the incredible Big Mama Thornton, a powerful and commanding blues singer. Her version is gritty, soulful, and tells a story of a no-good man. It's a masterpiece in its own right. But when Elvis got his hands on it in 1956, he transformed it. He didn't just sing the song, he completely embodied it. He tore it apart and rebuilt it with a sneer and a swagger that the world had never seen. When Elvis performed Hound Dog on television, it was an event. His voice didn't just carry a melody, it snarled, it growled, it pleaded. And his body, well, his body moved in ways that television cameras had never dared to broadcast into American living rooms before. The swiveling hips, the shaking legs, it was pure, unadulterated energy. The reaction was immediate and polarized. Parents were outraged, calling it vulgar and corrupting. But teenagers? They were absolutely electrified. For the first time, they saw a performer who was one of them, who understood their restlessness, their desire for something more than the bland conformity of the adult world. One of the most telling moments in music history happened during his performance on The Milton Berle Show. The public outcry from a previous appearance was so intense that the network made a decision. For his next performance of Hound Dog on The Steve Allen Show, Elvis was dressed in a tuxedo and forced to sing to an actual basset hound. It was an attempt to neuter him, to make him a joke. But it backfired. Then, on The Ed Sullivan Show, the producers famously ordered the cameras to film him only from the waist up. They literally tried to censor his body. That single act tells you everything you need to know about the power and perceived threat of his performance. They couldn't ignore him, but they were terrified of what he represented. So, why did this one song, this one performance, change music forever? Hound Dog accomplished three revolutionary things all at once. First, it acted as a battering ram, smashing down the walls that separated black rhythm and blues from the white mainstream audience. Elvis, a white artist, became a conduit for a sound that had been segregated for far too long. He didn't invent rock and roll, but he was the vessel that delivered it to the masses. Second, it proved that music could be rebellious, emotional, and even confrontational. It wasn't just background noise anymore. It was a statement. It was the sound of a generational shift, a rejection of the old ways. It gave teenagers a voice and an identity that was entirely their own. And third, it transformed the role of the singer. Before Elvis, singers were often just pleasant vocalists fronting a band. With Hound Dog, Elvis became a cultural force. He was a symbol, an icon. His look, his attitude, his moves, they were just as important as the notes he sang. He created the blueprint for the modern pop star. Hound Dog wasn't just another hit single to climb the charts. It was a line drawn in the sand. On one side was the past, safe, orderly, and controlled. On the other was the future, unpredictable, exciting, and free. After Hound Dog, Rock and roll was no longer an underground movement. It was a global phenomenon. It was unstoppable. The ripple effect from that moment is immeasurable. You can draw a direct line from that waist-up television performance to the biggest names in music history. Without the cultural earthquake caused by Hound Dog, do we get the raw energy of the Beatles, the defiant strut of the Rolling Stones, the iconic showmanship of Michael Jackson? The very idea of a pop star as we know them today was forged in the fire of that controversy. Elvis Presley showed the world that a song could challenge authority, that music could cross racial and social lines, and that it could give an entire generation its own powerful, unified voice. One song, a handful of performances, a complete revolution. The ultimate message of Hound Dog is that sometimes music doesn't whisper change, it screams it from the rooftops. And if you truly want to understand why rock and roll changed the world, you can't just hear this song with your ears. You have to feel it. So, I invite you to do something after this. Take a moment. Go find that 1956 recording of Elvis Presley's Hound Dog. Turn the volume up. Close your eyes and just try to imagine what it must have felt like to hear that sound for the very first time, piercing through the quiet conformity of the 1950s. It was the sound of the future arriving, loud and clear. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe to Soundscape, and share this video with someone who loves music and the incredible stories behind it. This is Soundscape, where music isn't just heard, it's remembered. Thanks for watching.